A guy that always puts a smile on our face, though, and cheers us up is Rick Dhaliwal. TSN 1040 Vancouver. He joins us on video chat this morning. There he is, Dolly. We got you.
Okay. Good.
I don't know
How
if you
guys?
Oh, we're good. We're very good, but we're not in a hot spot like you in Vancouver. More importantly, how are you doing?
Very good. Very good. You know what? It's been a good week here in Vancouver because hockey's going to be back. We're hoping the CFL is back. The Whitecaps, they've been practicing for a while. You know, this has been a tough few months, Rod. You know this. It's been tough on everybody in the media. It's been a long time without sports. It is really hard. You know, in the industry that you and I and everybody are in, we've made a living off of sports, and to not have it's been a real tough go. It's been a real tough go.
Yeah, somewhat depressing, and I've just taken it upon ourselves to put a smile on people's faces, or at least try on a daily basis. And, you know, the last time we talked, Rick, was December, and Vancouver was on the outside looking in, if you remember. And you said how tough it would be for them to gain some ground because there were so many good teams in the Pacific. Well, here we are. They're in the playoffs. You know, what changed?
You know, hey, look, I got to give Travis Green a lot of credit. This was a team in August, Rod. Not a lot of people picked them to make the playoffs. And right now they're a bubble team. Let's be honest. When hockey stopped, they were tied with Nashville for the 8th place in the Western Conference. They're right there. You know, and they got so much good young talent. You know, Pedersen, Hughes, Besser. Those three guys, they give you a great foundation to work with for years to come. This team is on the cusp. You know, it's been a tough 5 years, Rod. There's been no playoffs in this hockey. People talk about Canucks Twitter is so negative, the media is so negative. But when you're in a Canadian market and your NHL team has not made the playoffs in 5 years, that's where the negativity comes from. There is no better marketing tool in the world than winning. And when this team starts to win, and they will, and they'll start making the playoffs starting now, but when they turn that corner and start making the playoffs every year, you're going to see a much more positive media, Canucks Twitter, which has got a bad name around the NHL sometimes. But you know what? It's a passionate fan base. And I'm telling you, I saw a preview, Rod, of the Canucks in the Wild. 3 months before the Canucks in the Wild played. Never thought I'd ever see that. I give Dean Evison, good Western Hockey League boy, a lot of credit. He went in there when the Wild made a coaching change. Minnesota was the second hottest team in the West before hockey stopped. Dean Evison played a big role, and people think the Canucks are going to just walk over Minnesota. These two, Rod, only 1 point separated them. Their goals for and against is essentially the same. Both have good records at home. Both struggle on the road. It's just so nice, Rod, to be talking about playoffs in this market for the first time in 6 years.
That's why I'm talking about it with you. And 72% of our respondents on an Instagram poll picked Vancouver as well. I saw the result. I'm like, what makes you think they're going to walk to this? I don't have a problem with it. I'll be cheering for Vancouver. But what is it, just overwhelming optimism that the playoffs are back? Or why would people say that?
Well, it's because Minnesota made a coaching change. They were struggling before Dean Evison, former Vancouver Giants, Kamloops Blazers coach, went in there and turned things around. They were 7-3 in their past 10 games before hockey stopped. I'm going to give Minnesota a lot of credit. I don't think it's a walkover. Here's another one for you, Rod. When these players show up to training camp, who's in shape? Who's not in shape? Like, there's a lot of hockey players that haven't touched ice in 3, 4, 5 months. I think a lot of these teams are on equal footing. They're all going to be healthy, but my biggest thing is going to be who's in shape. Travis Green has busted players in November and December for being out of shape. What do you think Travis Green's going to do when these guys have had 5 months off? I think the team that shows up in the best shape is good, and this is it. It's a one-shot deal with Minnesota. I want to really know, Rod, who shows up in shape. Who's been eating hot dogs and drinking beer on the lake in the last 3-4 months? That's going to be a big deciding factor for me.
Well, guaranteed somebody has been. Maybe it's not the Vancouver. Some players have been because that's hockey players. But I will say this. I was on your former radio station extolling the virtues of Travis Green probably as far back as 3 years ago. Known him a very long time. He's a very sharp guy. He's got a swagger. And I'm just glad to see that they are going the right way under Travis Green. Now, are we done with the Canucks, and can we move to our beloved CFL, or do you have anything else on the Canucks right now?
Rod, I want to ask you, because I love junior hockey so much. Western Hockey League, BC Hockey League out here, and I know you guys got Saskatchewan. I really feel for these kids, and I really want to see Ron Toigo, the Giants owner. I talked to him the other day, and they're looking at a lot of scenarios in how they can come back to play next year. I really feel for these junior kids, Rod, and I know you're a big junior hockey fan. I'm really hoping junior hockey comes back on time. I don't think there'll be fans in the stands, and that's going to hurt because it's just like the CFL, it's a gate-driven league. But I just wanted to say that I really, really hope and pray that these kids have an outlet to play. It breaks my heart when a lot of these kids, their season ended. Those 20-year-olds, they never got the proper send-off. A lot of kids never got that second, third look from NHL scouts in the Western Hockey League playoffs, Quebec, Ontario. What are you hearing on the junior front, Rod? I can tell you that Ron Toigo says they got a whole bunch of different scenarios they're looking at for next year. But I'm really hoping, Rod, the Western Hockey League can start on time.
I'm talking to those folks on a daily basis, and they believe that they will play, whether it's spacing within the arena. One thing that they have with their business model, Rick, as you know, is they're not paying salaries. So as far as a business model goes versus the CFL, junior hockey is in a decent shape. You know, they frankly, unfortunately, haven't been filling barns for the most part for some time, save for Kelowna. Look where the Giant, well, mind you, in Langley, it's not the biggest arena, but they could do it. They think that they're going to play, and that's extremely positive. And for anybody with the 20-year-old situation, I feel it too, but I will say two words to that. Humboldt Broncos. It could always be worse than that. Yeah. And that's how I bring a lot of guys back to earth on that. So to the CFL.
I'm just like you, Rod, big junior hockey fan, and I just want to see these kids have an outlet to play next year. It's very important. Every kid that plays junior A, junior B, or the dub, I got a tremendous amount of respect for them.
Oh, no doubt. So to the CFL, I'm loving your updates on the Lions and David Braley. You're getting on your radio show somewhat regularly. Boy, what just it's
Are you
a
there,
big.
Rod?
Yeah, I'm here. Are you? Did we lose him? I hear the panic going on the other side of the wall.
Oh, there you go. I got.
Okay, we're back. We must have frozen for a second. To the CFL, it's a big question. Your thoughts on playing in 2020 and what it will look like when it comes back?
Yeah. So David Braley went on our station about a week ago, Rod, and said if we don't play this year, the CFL, could be in trouble the year after. I don't agree with that. I think there's too many people in this country that love the CFL. There's a lot of people with money in this country that will keep it alive. Hey, look, I was talking to Brendan Tamman, who you know well, former Saskatchewan GM the other day. They're trying hard. They're trying hard. And why not have all the games in Saskatchewan and Winnipeg? Those two provinces are doing so good against COVID. The eastern teams in Manitoba, western teams in Saskatchewan. Let's get this thing going, and hopefully start in September. 8-9 game schedule. The CFL is a massive part of this country. It's a very important piece of the culture. And let's get this thing going. If we can get a shortened season. Everyone I've talked to in the CFL, they are trying, Rod. They are trying to come up with solutions to make this work. It's just it's such a sad situation that this virus has caused so many problems. It's brought the world to its knees, and it's very frustrating. But on the CFL, everybody I've talked to, Rod, says that they are trying hard behind the scenes. I talked to somebody yesterday. A week ago, they thought, hey, it looked really good, and now things have slowed down again. But you know what? Let's get this thing going. Let's get 8-9 games. Do you think that's attainable, Rod?
I absolutely do, and the guys that I talk to are very optimistic. Now, all things being equal, A Lions fan Instagram account asked last night what its followers thought the Lions' record would be. Let's just assume it's an 18-game season. I said 8-10. Let's just say, all things being equal, what do you think coming back with Rick Campbell, Mike Riley, Ed Hervey as GM, the choices that they've made in free agency and so forth? I got them 8-10. They're in a tough division. What do you think about the Lions?
I love the changes they made, Rod, in the offseason. But here's my problem with the CFL right now, and it really pisses me off. They're the only sport right now that turned over in free agency too many players. You know, there was a time, Rod, growing up in the 80s, going to Empire Stadium, I can name you every BC Lion. I can name you everybody in the secondary. I can name you everybody, all the receivers, all the offensive linemen. Nowadays, with these guys turning 20, 25, 30 guys over every free agency, I don't like that. And that makes it tough to predict exactly where they're going. It's tough to have a core. This team had a core. You know what? Solomon Elamimian, Manny Arsenault, Travis Lulay, Andrew Harris. They had such a good core. Right now, it's tough because they're having a tough time building a core because they're turning over so many players. I'm having a tough time figuring out how they're going to do on the field, but I do agree with you on this. They made a great hire in Campbell. They're strong in ownership with Braley. Ed Hervey is Ed Hervey. He's doing his job. But all the stuff around the scenes is great. I just have a problem with how many players they turn over, Rod, and that's making it tough for me. Because I just named you the Canucks core. You know, Besser, Pedersen, Hughes. You know, I can name you the Canucks core, but I'm having a tough time naming the BC Lions core because they turn over so many players.
I hope that's a change when the CFL comes back, as they are looking at its business model. That's one of the first and foremost things they need to look at. Rick, this has been exactly what we'd hope. A wonderful West Coast sports update. Thank you, sir, and hope to bring you on throughout the summer.
And Rod, keep doing what you're doing. You're a legend in Saskatchewan, respected by in the country. And I'm telling you right now, keep doing what you're doing.
Awesome. We will, Rick. Same to you. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.